Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about why you have to escape fun Dungeons & Dragons and embrace Flourishment Dungeons & Dragons. All right, so fun Dungeons & Dragons. Oh, hey, my name is Sarah. I'm your Dungeon Master. We're going to cut some goblins in half today. Let's have fun at this game where none of you will learn, grow, or change, and I assure you, you'll be the same sad sack, human being that you were when you started this game as when you finish it, right? It's just like, what do you want to do with Dungeons & Dragons? Do you want to have fun? Is that your goal, right? And because if that's your goal, you're going to achieve it, right? You're going to have fun, right? You're not going to learn, grow, or change. You're not going to do what Gary Gygax intended you to do with Dungeons & Dragons, in my humble opinion. So Gary Gygax created Dungeons & Dragons as a human flourishment tool, right? And he built, and we're really seeing the shape of it now, right? He built, and in my humble opinion, in 1974, he released a human flourishment tool called Dungeons & Dragons. He disguised it as a game so people would engage with it, because he knew no one in the world wants to talk to a psychologist, deal with a therapist, read a self-help book. All the ways that eat their vegetables, all the ways that our society is structured for us to excel as humans suck. They suck like a Hoover, right? And nobody wants to engage with them. The models are horrific, right? Psychologists, right? $200 an hour. You ask a question, they ask the same question back. It sucks at every level, right? Like self-help book, right? You're gonna go, slap yourself over to Barnes and Nobles, buy some stupid, self-help book, get laughed at the counter, not literally, but with their eyes, and then everywhere you go, you gotta cover it up with a brown paper bag because people will mock you for whatever deficiency you have, right? But Gary was like, wait a second, what if we stopped all that noise and I created a game that would help you learn, grow, and change, and you could have it out in public, right? Now, he was wrong, because people realized it wasn't a game, in my humble opinion, they've come to destroy it twice, right? 1983 to 2023, right? So, what are you going to accomplish with your game? Human flourishment or fun? And today, I'm going to tell you exactly why you need to escape fun Dungeons & Dragons, okay? So, Andrew Schulz, brilliant comedian. He's got his own show. It's called The Flagrancy, and I watch him pretty good a bit. He's really in. I think the reason why I really like Andrew Schulz is he is dedicated to what if comedy could be funny, right? And he's like, and you know what? I'm going to pay the price to do it. I'm going to offend people left and right? And he really goes at woke culture and based culture, right? And he's brilliant, right? So he had on this guy named Johnny Mitchell, and Johnny Mitchell is a comedian, a podcaster, and an author. That's what he is today. What he was 5 years ago was he was a Caucasian cartel drug dealer, right? So he got large amounts of cocaine and heroin from the cartels and sold them here, and he went to prison for it. Not jail, prison, right? And so he breaks it down, and he said something really fascinating in this interview he did with Andrew Schulz. And he said, what shocked me was this expectation. So I have white Caucasian parents, right? And I started dealing drugs, and they knew I was dealing drugs in college, right? And they're like, stop. And then 6 months later, my mom, is cleaning my room and finds $50,000 cash in a backpack. And his mom and his dad came to him and was like, we're kicking you out of the house. However, we're going to continue paying for college because we expect you to finish college, right? They're like, we know you're a cartel drug dealer, but our expectation is that you finish college. And he thought that this was a problem, right? And he's like, oh, this is a terrible problem, that my parents have these expectations, right? But then when he went to prison, he met people who came from criminal families that have a history of crime, right? They have a history of father, mother, brother, literally the majority of people in these families, sometimes 51% have done time, right? And he said, and basically these people, they would go to jail, right? And from these people who were from these crime families, and I'm not talking like families that have a history of someone going to prison, not jail, prison, right? And he talked about it, and he said, it was really kind of fascinating because where we landed was when they would go to prison, they would arrive in prison, and there would be people there saying, "Hey, how you doing, Sally? We were waiting for you," right? There was an expectation you would come here. And he realized you achieve what you are expected to do, right? Like, if you're expected to go to prison, guess what? You're going to go to prison, right? Because nothing's going to protect you from this heritage, right? And this is what I'm saying to you. If you expect to have fun, you will be nothing, right? Gary has handed you a magic item, right? It is a tool, and it's more than just a tool. It's not like a little wrench where you like turn a nut, right? It is a 4th edition magic item, right? And what happened in 1974, he gave this human flourishment tool, right, to humanity. And what's happened is TSR, Wizards of the Coast, and now Hasbro, they have moved forward, gained successes, but the real value of the human flourishment magic item that Gary handed to us is residual, right? There was a failure in 1983 that caused the evangelical on the part of TSR. They were not careful. Like Gary Gygax, when he created the show, right? People were like, "Hey, we're really frightened about the occult connections of Dungeons and Dragons, but can you reassure us, TSR, that our kids aren't going to be trapped in your game by occultism?" And Gary was like, "What if we make a Saturday morning cartoon where the kids who play Dungeons and Dragons are trapped in the game forever?" Like, it was like he was trolling them, right? And so there was this failure, right? And TSR had a failure. And what happened was the tool that he created in 1974, right? These failures are like new magic items that are created, smashed down, and the residuum is put into the original magic item, right? From 4th edition. Read about residuism. It's when you destroy a magic item and put that magical dust onto the old magic, onto an existing magic item to make it more powerful. And that's what we have. Dungeons & Dragons is this magic item that continually has residuism put into it. And every mistake that's made on Dungeons & Dragons is turned into success through this residuism, right? And the reality is, you have an opportunity. You've been given the greatest tool in the world. Are you smart enough to recognize it? Do you have enough courage to go against the world that's saying, "Oh no, Dungeons & Dragons is just for fun"? I know there's a million clues that it doesn't look like any game on the earth, right? And I know that we just literally had 2 people say that there was a war for the fate of Dungeons & Dragons in January 2023. And there's all these clues that this was never a game, right? Do you have the courage to move past and pick the tool up and be more than you are, right? And learn, grow, and change? Or are you going to be a sad sack fun chaser, always trapped in Goblin Shop fun Dungeons & Dragons? It's your choice. In my humble opinion, you should embrace the fact that D&D was never a game and pursue using Dungeons & Dragons as a human flourishment tool. Change yourself, change everyone at your table, and by extension, change the world. Or are you going to have some fun? It's your choice. Every word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.